Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And finally, they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, Jamie Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a
this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Diablo, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yeah, I got to do a show, right? Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where I'm still trying to find today's celebrity birthday, but I think I found one, and I think you'll appreciate, well, maybe you'll appreciate this one. Maybe you don't even know who the hell this is. Most of you should know who this is, but I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, how y'all doing? Happy Thursday, FTG Thursday on the Morning Night Live, where I actually have a handful of FTGs that were pre-thought out, and so we'll be doing that. And I also remembered to, well, the holiday thing, it's kind of weird. It's Liberation Day, or, well, that was yesterday, but I want to talk about Liberation Day because lots of people are talking about the Trump tariff thing that, that I guess has some people reeling and some people cheering and some people going, it's about time, and some people saying, fuck him, and some people saying buy American, and some people saying all kinds of stuff, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of conversation about that. Plus, like I said, there's some FTGs, there's some news items. I got all kinds of stuff going on today. So let's get it started. I'm as usual, behind schedule, so let's just get it going. So let's start with the hellos. Of course, first in the chat today is Mr. Avocados Diablo, who gets the bell again. What's up with that? There we go. And everyone else here is Kara Soldier. Good morning. Renee Mayette. Scree. I'm not going to start doing that. Resolute Germs in the house. Tyre. Alexander. The Scourge. Also, good morning to Darren Root, Bookworm Addict, Somnambule Nation. Lots of people here early today. That's good. Green Badger Outdoors, Reaction Puerto Rico, you lovely island, island of tropical breezes. Oh, speaking of which, Carlos, my wife yesterday, or 2 days ago, was asking me, just out of the blue, she says, should we go to Costa Rica or should we go to Puerto Rico? And I said, well, I don't know. I'll have to ask my friend Reaction Puerto Rico and see if he has an opinion on that. I'm sure there's beautiful places in both. I know a lot of people go to Puerto Rico for a holiday. But I don't know when she was thinking about doing that. She apparently someone at work. Oh no, she also has a friend at work who's from India who invited us to go to India. I can't afford all this traveling, first of all. So I said, well, we should go to the one that's the cheapest because that's how I think. Because they're islands in the Caribbean and their juxtaposition is not too far from each other. If you didn't know that, Puerto Rico is just east of the Dominican Republic, right? Well, yeah, the Dominican, the Haiti's over there, Costa Rica. Well, Costa Rica is in the Gulf Coast, south of Mexico, and then Puerto Rico's in the islands east of Cuba, east of Haiti, east of Dominican Republic, out there in the ocean. So I don't know. Someone should give us some advice. She says, "Don't go. She is planning on killing you and blaming the cartel." Well, no. Well, I suppose I don't know. Who knows? Anyway. It depends on what you're looking for. That's a good question. We'll talk about that some other time, Carlos. Because I really, I've been interested in going to Puerto Rico for a long time. But who knows? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. JB's in the house. Nice to see you. Got how many people we got here so far? We got only 18 people. Wow, man. How is this? How am I going to grow this show? Anyway, 18 people, 5 likes. Hit the like button. Smash that like button. If you haven't shared the stream, many of you have already. But if you haven't yet, click that link up at the top of the chat. Drop a let's go on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. Or you can just hit the arrow. It's somewhere down here, or I don't know where the arrow is that says share. Hit the share arrow and share wherever you want to. Show more TNA. And what about the Penguins? Yeah, we'll get to the Penguins. Yeah, the Penguins. Anyway, so show more TNA. This. Okay, well, we'll see. Oh, and thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico, sponsor the show. Appreciate you. Dropping a deuce in the tip jar via YouTube Super Chat. It said, did you ever send a letter to Delta? Yeah, my wife has never finished that letter. And we should probably do that because I'm still pissed off about the... At least she got the purse back. And I think she got her ID back. But there was still the stuff that was missing. So somebody went through it. Very annoying. But no, we did never send the letter to Delta. We need to do that. Good morning, Jaeger Pony. What's up? My favorite Canadians in the house. Chris Tucker, don't cut it. Oh, like change the gifts? Well, look, some of those, if you read the list, there are some on there that are a little more, let's just say, entertaining. I'll just put it that way. So yeah, if you want to see TNA, I'll make you all a deal. If you say I'll change Chris Tucker out because obviously that's not very good. I will bring back the 223 ass. Okay, we'll start doing that. We'll figure it out. So, all right, let's get into the show. Now, as I said when we started, I was trying to figure out what the holiday was today. And so rather than just pick just one, let's go ahead and just break out the holiday calendar. It is April 3rd, 2025. And today is here's a few of them. National Find a Rainbow Day. Celebrate National Find a Rainbow Day by taking some time to appreciate the beauty of nature and enjoy the colors of the rainbow. Well, we can't get away from the fucking rainbows because people carry those flags. Donkey Punch Bandits in the house, by the way. No relation to being rainbows, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so it's National Find... Here, let me make this so you can see the whole screen. Let's go that way. There. Now we can see the whole page. National Find a Rainbow Day. National Burrito Day. Taco about a party. Celebrate National Burrito Day with your favorite burrito and all the fixings for an unforgettable fiesta. Yeah, I don't know about that. World Party Day? Really? Do we need a World Party Day? I don't know about that. Independent Artist Day. Show your support for independent artists on Independent Artist Day. Discover new music, art, and other talents that will inspire. You can just do that on YouTube. There's always a lot of music on YouTube. National Chocolate Mousse Day. Look out, Bullwinkle. Fish. Okay, now this one concerns me because the jokes write themselves. Fish Fingers and Custard Day. I'm confused and it reminds me of something about college. But anyway, hello, K-Show. What's up? National Inspiring Joy Day. I don't know who Joy is, but she looks like a fine individual. Don't go to work unless it's fun day. Oh, that should be every day. Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. National Gray Day. Not the color gray, but if your name is gray. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of those. Fan Dance Day. World Cloud Security Day. Protect your data and secure digital life and World Cloud Security Day. Birth anniversary of national artist Lino Brocca. I have no idea who the hell Lino Brocca is, but happy birth anniversary of artist Lino Brocca Day. And National Tweed Day. So all the Brits can get in on the fun. So there you go. Those are the holidays today. And the day of celebrity birthday, I found one just seconds before the show started. And today, April 3rd, is the anniversary of the birth of none other than the famous actress, not infamous, famous actress, Doris Day. Doris Day, who was born on this day in 1922. She would have been 103 years old. She's still alive. A fine individual from film and stage back in the day. This is back when she was still a brunette. And then she later became famous blonde. And one of her famous movies was Pillow Talk. And saw Doris Day trending and feared the worst. No, she is not. She's not alive anymore. But she went blonde and became famous and did a lot of movies and with Bing Crosby and Fred and all those people, and lived a very good life beyond those days. So, happy birthday posthumously to Doris Day. And then let's see, what is this? Oh, we already did this. Oh, hang on. I need to be able to put the link in there. Let's put that over there. Let's move this back to where it belongs. And we'll, oh, by the way, and thank you to the people who shared the stream. That's what I got to do. Here we go. People who shared the stream. K-Shull, thank you, Kirsten. And Tyre Alexander and JB, Amazing Disgrace, Green Badger Outdoors, Reaction Puerto Rico, Somnambule Nation, and Resolute Germ all shared the stream. Let's go through some of the GIFs. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, Tyre, you did a non-Ric Flair. Woo! Is this, oh, by the way, is this good? Now, this is interesting because I would have never thought of this had you not put this on the replies today. Now think about this, and maybe he's too old to do it now, but if they ever did a Ric Flair biopic, this age of I'm sorry, this guy. Nicolas Cage. This age of Nicolas Cage would have been a great choice to do a Ric Flair biopic. Just dye his hair blonde and stuff. Wouldn't he have been a great Ric Flair? So here's the here will be the Q&A question of the day. I'm going to add a Q&A question today. Who would you cast as Ric Flair in his biopic? There's our Q&A question of the day. We'll do this once in a while. I want to do this, start more using that feature more often. Who would you choose as to play Ric Flair in a Ric Flair biopic? So there you go. Thank you for the spaces, Avocados Diabli. Appreciate it. So there you go. Let's see who you can come up with for a Ric Flair biopic. Here, let me refresh this so I can still have my chat out here. Give me one moment and then we'll keep going. There we go. Today, refresh. By the way, now there's 20 people here, but only 8 likes. That's still a problem, people. Hit the like button right now while I'm boring you with my technical prowess. Oh my God. I got to get better at this. It's only been 6 years. All right. By the way, good morning. Amazing Disgrace is in the house. Now, wait a minute. Not ripped enough. I'm not saying, look, Nicolas Cage is a professional actor. And by the way, Ric Flair was never really ripped enough. He was not one of those muscle-bound fighters. He played the part very well. And so I'm saying, but that's a fair assessment. But, you know, good morning, GDSOB, by the way. Going elbow deep on the like button on my way in. That's a weird way to put it. But, you know, appreciate it. Okay, if you haven't shared the stream yet, I'm kicking this down, so you'll have to go find it yourself. So anyway, who'd make a great Ric Flair? All right, let's move on. We'll get that answers that question later. Moving on. In the news, let's start with a little news first. Selmer, Tennessee. I'm not familiar with the town of Selmer, but was devastated by a tornado yesterday. Let's see. Let's take a quick look at this. If you know anyone in that area of the country, prayers out. So yeah, this is a tornado ripped through the town of Selmer, Tennessee. I'm not sure if Selmer is. I'm not sure where in Tennessee Selmer is. In fact, oh, where's my phone? I don't know where it is. Anyway, definitely some devastation. So if you have a So the community of Selmer, Tennessee, located in southwestern Tennessee, was struck by a confirmed tornado overnight. This is a team coverage from Weather Nation. Making lots of damage. I'm not sure how big Selmer is, but obviously it really did some work. So this is a before picture of that street, and there's the after. Pretty damn devastating for the city of Selmer. So prayers out for them. In other news, hiring apparently I didn't do a jobs report yesterday, but apparently hiring accelerated in March despite the tariff hysteria, according to ADP. Private sector job growth accelerated in March, according to data released by ADP, to countering gloomy predictions that tariffs would slam the brakes on the labor market. Instead, hiring came in stronger than expected, with 155,000 jobs added across the U.S. economy, even as corporate media and left-leaning economists warned daily of a looming slowdown. Professional and business services led the way with 57,000 new jobs, followed by financial activities with 38,000 and manufacturing with 21,000. Despite policy uncertainty and downbeat consumers, the bottom line is the March top-line number was a good one for the economy, and employers of all sizes, if not necessarily all sectors, said Nayla Richardson, ADP's chief economist. ADP does payroll services for many kinds of businesses. So anyway, so that's good news. We'll see what happens with the tariffs as we move on. Also in economic news, apparently OPEC has decided to increase production, and that seems to be a topic of high discussion today. Breaking OPEC plus flood begins. The group is accelerating its oil production hikes, bringing forward to May 1st 3 months worth of its previously planned monthly output hikes. In a statement, it said the May increase will be now equal to 441,000 barrels a day rather than 138,000 barrels a day. So here's the official announcement. 8 OPEC countries. Oh, okay. It's OPEC plus countries, which previously announced additional voluntary adjustments in April and November 2023, namely Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, UAE, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and Oman, met virtually on April 3rd, that was today, to review global market conditions and outlook. In view of the continuing healthy market fundamentals and positive market outlook, and in accordance with the decision agreed upon on December 5th, subsequently affirming on March 3rd to start gradual and flexible return to 2.2 million barrels per day, voluntary adjustment starting from April 1st. The 8 participating countries will implement a production adjustment of 411,000 barrels per day, so including adding more than that, equivalent to 3 monthly increments of May 2025 is detailed in the table below. This compromises the increment originally planned for May in addition to 2 monthly increments. So they're increasing production, which in theory should lower oil prices, which is a good sign. Go figure. OPEC just announced a larger production increase on a day that oil prices are down almost 6%. So that's interesting. Honey to God, OPEC, read the room. Well, as you recall, the Republicans won over the Democrats that wanted slavery to continue. Wow, time hasn't changed. Okay, I don't know what that means. But anyway, and I guess that's in response to Trump's tariffs. So they're going to increase production. I don't know how that relates, but I guess we'll find out and we'll see. Look, here's one thing if you live in the United States right now that you've got to understand, by the way. Gas prices are about to go up wherever you live. It's already done that in some of the southern states, and it has nothing to do with anything Trump has done. It has nothing to do with anything Biden would have done. It has nothing to do with what any president does. The reason your gas prices will go up roughly 20 cents sometime either over the last month or in the coming month is because the oil companies have to get rid of their winter blend. So you'll see a short drop, winter blend, because they're trying to get rid of it. They have to sell it off before they have to sell the non-winter blend, which is more expensive by about 20 cents. You see this price in gas increase every year around this time. But my prediction is, just like, and look, and they did this to Biden too. And I said, even then, I said, well, that's just because they changed blend. And then there was a drop in price and, come around November-ish, and I said, that has nothing to do with Biden. And this is true too with Trump. The increase in gas prices in the next month or so will have nothing to do with Trump. And the decrease in gas prices in November will have nothing to do with Trump. Now, what you have to look at is gas prices from year to year to determine if there are, if there's something that has to do with the current economy that has to do with gas prices. So even though you'll see an increase in gas prices, we'll have to see if this increase in production from OPEC and other countries will have an effect on gas prices. And so does that have to do with tariffs? Who knows? We'll see what happens. So there you go. That's my 2 cents on gas prices. Also in the news, Eric Adams. Now this is interesting. Eric Adams has, here's the real news. I'll put this one first and then we'll go through the Eric Adams because he's trending for some reason. But anyway, a federal judge has dismissed the corruption case against New York Mayor Eric Adams. The corruption case against now what's interesting, I thought now I know that the Department of Justice said they were going to drop their case or they weren't going to pursue it. But now the judge has dismissed the case. The corruption case against New York City Mayor, Democratic Mayor Eric Adams was dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't bring it back, by a federal judge on Wednesday. Adams was indicted on charges that included accepting overseas travel paid for by wealthy Turkish nationals. The mayor pleaded not guilty to the charges. The dismissal of the case with prejudice means the Department of Justice cannot bring the charges against Adams in the future based on the same evidence, according to CNBC. In his order on Wednesday, U.S. Judge Dale Ho denied the DOJ's request to dismiss the case without prejudice, which would have allowed federal government to resurrect the corruption charges against Adams in the future. Ho wrote that a dismissal without prejudice would create an unavoidable perception that the mayor's freedom depends on his ability to carry out the immigration enforcement priorities of the administration, and that he might be more beholden to the demands of the federal government than to the wishes of his own constituents. So apparently this judge maybe thought that this was, they were holding this, cudgel over Adams' head. But I got to tell you, the original charges by the Justice Department during the Biden administration seemed to be very dependent on, again, Adams criticizing the Biden administration for its immigration policies. So I say good for Mayor Eric Adams. Not the biggest fan, but I'm not necessarily the biggest detractor. And there you go. So that's fascinating. Now, before I go into the other stuff about Eric Adams, let's go to the question today. The question is, who would you cast as Ric Flair in his biopic? Only a few answers. Dog the Bounty Hunter. I think he's about as old as Ric Flair. Your mother, because I'm the dirtiest game in town. Woo! LOL. Okay. I get that joke. Will Smith, no! You can't choose Will Smith. Avocados down. The reanimated upper half corpse of Doris Day's corpse grafted to Bill Cosby's torso. You are one sick motherfucker. Yeah, AD. And then Somnable Nation says, Jaleel White for the Netflix biopic. And if you don't know who Jaleel White is, that would be none other than Urkel. Okay, I'm not asking any more questions to you guys. Oh, and Macy Gray. Tyre, I did it just before I closed this stupid thing. Macy Gray. Oh, my God. You know, not only are you race swapping Ric Flair, of all people, the world famous, the great Ric Flair, now you're suggesting that he be sex swapped too with a black woman? Oh my goodness, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? All right, other things, people talking about Eric Adams. Lives at TikTok puts this: New York Mayor Eric Adams recommends all New Yorkers read FBI Director Kash Patel's book on the deep state in order to understand why he was targeted. Oh, snap. Oh, you know that this is going to piss some people off. Let me see here. Let me see this. Let me see this.
And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find the rationale behind this. And I found it in this book. I'm going to encourage every New Yorker to read it.
I'll be damned.
And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find...
Is he going to change parties? Just in the chat, what percentage chance do you think Eric Adams might switch parties? Also, here's a place where he is slamming Biden's Department of Justice. Let's just do this part. He doesn't hear, and with Andrew Schultz on Andrew Schultz podcast, he does it here too. Recommends it, right? Read Kash Patel's book. Look,
but it is a shot at your like political career.
Oh, and
and is it frustrating to not, or do you know who you think it came from? Like, is Biden aware of this, or is it the people that are like underneath Biden? Is it completely separate?
That's a great question. That's a great question. You know, there are a lot of people, you know, and I don't want to sound conspiracy theory, but there's a permanent government. There are people that see presidents and mayors come and go. Their attitudes will wait you out. You know what book is a great book, man?
That is
Everybody
true.
should read the book, Kash Patel's Government Gangsters.
Okay.
You
need
should
him on the pod.
Yeah, you should read that book, man.
Okay.
Kash breaks this down.
What is he? And is this what
He's
some?
now
Yeah.
the FBI director.
This is amazing. I am dumbfounded.
Is this like what people refer to? And I think this word has been used too much, but like
you can find this in the link today in the links. But 2 times he's recommending people read Kash Patel's book. By the way, New York City Mayor Eric Adams also, this is breaking news, dropping out of the Democratic primary, will seek re-election as an independent. So any of you who said not a chance, or the 3.14%, he's now running for mayor as an independent. How about that? That's breaking news from the New York Post. Here it is. Just published this morning at 7 a.m. I didn't even see this article yet. Eric Adams announced Thursday that he will not seek the Democratic nomination for mayor, instead pushing all his chips in on a long shot run as an independent candidate. His honor dropped the bombshell news in a campaign video announcement just one day after a federal judge killed his corruption case for good. More than 25,000 New Yorkers signed my Democratic primary petition, but the dismissal of the bogus case against me dragged on too long, making it impossible to mount a primary campaign while these false accusations were held over me, Adams said in a 6-minute spiel. But I'm not a quitter. I'm a New Yorker, he continued, and that is why today, although I am still a Democrat, I am announcing that I will forego the Democratic primary for mayor and appeal directly to all New Yorkers as an independent candidate in the general election. The embattled mayor insisted the Big Apple would be better off without clashing rhetoric from progressive and conservative sides, arguing that he has always put New Yorkers before politics and party. So, well, you know what? I say more power to him. Go for it. Go for it, Mayor Adams. That's fascinating. That is fascinating. So, moving on. Other news, let's get into the tariff thing today, since that's at least the name of the show on topics. So a lot of people are going wild about the tariff thing, and I posted this graphic. Let me see if I can get this to fit the screen here. I posted this graphic that I saw a couple days ago showing the reciprocal nature of these tariffs. And so now I'm confused if this is on all goods or what, but so these are the, Donald Trump is considering these to be reciprocal tariffs, and we're looking at tariffs that other countries put on us for things. So if you look at this list, it shows, for example, China, and let's see, what's this say? Tariffs charged to the United States, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So, I don't know exactly what that means. Good morning, Select a Boy. Yeah, boy. So for example, China, 67% versus the U.S. reciprocal tariffs at 34%. The European Union, 39% versus the U.S. 20%. Vietnam, 90% versus the U.S. 46%. And it's almost across the board. The reciprocal tariffs that are shown on this side of the ledger are often half of what the tariffs charged to us are. Now, I don't know if that's on all goods and services. I don't know where they came up with this number. Oh, Special K acid too. Good morning. On my honorable mention list of favorite Canadians. But Thailand, 72 to 36, Switzerland, 61 to 31, Indonesia, 64 to 32, Malaysia, 47 to 24. So, except for a few cases, Singapore, 10%, and we matched it at 10%. Chile, 10%, matched at 10%. Australia, 10%, matched it at 10%. And on down the line. None of these countries that they're doing the reciprocal tariffs have a lower tariff than the United States. So it ends up matching all these, right? So that's what they're touting from the White House, from the president's office. And so, but a lot of people think, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Why would this is funny. Why would a Japanese person in their right mind buy an American-built car? Impossible. Okay, whatever. Now someone here says, if the UK sorted out our energy policy by fracking and dumping the net zero madness, Trump tariffs would make little to no difference. Okay, they have, and that's obviously a AI generated kiss there. That's kind of more moronic. What's Canada at? Oh, was Canada on that list? Hang on a second. Let's see if Canada was on that list. I don't see. Now that's interesting. I don't see Canada on here. Unless it's just my eyes not working. I'm only reading. Yeah, Canada's not on here, interestingly enough. And it makes you wonder why. Why isn't Canada on there? Hello, Tyler F. What's up? So anyway, lots of people talking about this. Oh, now, and they're saying, oh, no tariffs or economic measures imposed on Russia by Trump. I wonder why. That's false. Trump just, in fact, let's see. Let's look this up, and I'll look up on X while we're watching here. Because I know that the United States just put sanctions on Russia. We don't really trade with Russia, and the sanctions on Russia are massive, but you know that, you propagandists. Yeah. Let's see. Someone here says we need to start treating most of the EU the same way we treat Russia. First, withdraw from our mutual defense treaties, the sanction for violence. Okay, that has nothing to do with it. You know whose economy is going to implode because of the tariff war? Russia. Those sanctions on Russia really did make them stronger long term. Propaganda alert. They're probably hoping you won't ask why Russia and North Korea are exempt. Here's the answer. They're already under strict sanctions. The U.S. barely trades with them. There's nothing to tariff. That's why. Because a lot of people, oh, no tariffs on Russia. That's because Russia just puts a major sanction on them. And here you go. Trump's reciprocal tariffs, e.g. China, 67, blah, blah, aren't based on actual foreign tariffs. World Trade Organization, 7.3%, but are likely on U.S. trade deficit divided by imports. See the WTO data. So this chart, like I said, I'm wondering why these aren't actual tariffs. This is calculated with the trade imbalance or whatever with those countries. But someone said Russia first. The American president today lifted sanctions against a Russian oligarch and a close friend of the greatest criminal of our time, Putin, instead of doing everything he can to ensure that Russia is defeated and Putin ends up in trials for crime. Okay, what? So they lifted sanctions on a specific person, Karina Rothenberg, the wife of Russian President Vladimir Putin's close friend, Boris Rothenberg, according to its website. I have no idea. But again, a lot of people saying, oh, they didn't put sanctions on Russia. Or excuse me, they didn't put the tariff on Russia. Slapping tariffs on random uninhabited islands, but left Russia off the list. That's because Russia is under U.S. sanctions already, major U.S. sanctions. So that will explain that. Okay, so back to this on Trump's tariffs. There we go. So a lot of people bitching about the tariffs, right? And again, here's another one. Oh, Russia is missing from the Trump's tariffs list. Donald Trump is a Russian asset. Only if you're a moron. Only if you're a moron. But so there's a lot of people talking about the tariffs. Let's find Howard Lutnick is trending, one of Trump's major advisors, where and Lutnick was on on Fox the other day, and here's him talking about tariffs.
They're going to want to negotiate, but these are the same people who have been ripping us off for all these years. Remember, the tariffs are only part of the issue. It's these non-tariff trade barriers where they just won't let you trade. They provide subsidies back, like they charge this VAT tax, right? And they always say, oh, it's not the VAT tax. You know what some of these countries do? They take that 20% tax and they give it back to their producers. So they crush our people. It's got to end, and what's going to happen is you're going to see the greatest renaissance of manufacturing in America. $4 trillion investing in America. That's going to create the most incredible set of jobs. Tradecraft is going to come back to America. People, a high school educated workforce is going to get trained to do robot mechanic, HVAC, but in high tech, fabs for semiconductors. I mean, the coolest jobs, the highest paying jobs, they're all coming to America, and Donald Trump is bringing them in because we're tired of having them built in Taiwan. We're tired of having it built in South Korea. It's time for these things to be built in America, and these jobs are coming home.
All right,
that's
the vision. And Howard Lutnick, one of Trump's advisors, thinks is really bullish on this whole idea. On the other hand, Mike Pence tweeted something about this, who said the Trump tariff tax is the largest peacetime tax hike in U.S. history. These tariffs are nearly 10 times the size of those imposed during the Trump-Pence administration and will cost American families over $3,500 a year. Check out Spoiling America's Golden Age from something group called American Freedom, claiming that it would be a $3,500 tax, would easily raise 3 years worth of pay raises for most families. So there is some dissent, obviously, and I'd be surprised that some of it's not from Democrats. But yesterday, apparently the United States Senate, now I have to laugh at the person who wrote this post. Let me find it real quick. Is this one of these shill, these shill post, what do you call it? The Democrat shill post. This one's called Call to Activism. Posted this. Major breaking. In a devastating loss for Donald Trump, the Senate has just voted to cancel Trump's tariffs on Canada by a vote of 51-48. 4 Republicans voted for the measure. Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins. So when I read this post, I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So the Senate voted 51-48 to end the Canadian tariffs. And I was like, wait a minute. In a devastating loss for Donald Trump? Devastating? Does this guy not understand how our political system works? So yes, the Senate 51-48 voted for that, which means what? Oh, that means it would have to go to the House and get approved, and then the president would have to sign the law, the bill, whatever. And if he didn't sign the law, so let's say he vetoed it, and then they'd have to have 2/3 of the Senate to override it. That ain't happening. So yeah, the idea that this is devastating. Yeah, not so much. A big fat meh. But it is interesting that the Senate voted to overturn or cancel Trump's tariffs on Canada. Very unlikely that will go through the House. But it does have Rand Paul trending. There are some people angry with Rand Paul for voting for this. Now, here's what I was thinking. But here's some people, by the way, here's some people mad at Rand Paul. Hey, Rand Paul, when you vote with Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell, there's something wrong. Maybe. Here's one. And I guess here's what people are mad about. Here's Rand Paul talking about this.
But on the tariffs in particular, on the idea of trade is proportional to wealth. The last 70 years of international trade has been an exponential curve upwards, and the last 70 years of prosperity has been upwards also. We are richer because of trade with Canada, and so is Canada. Whenever you trade with somebody, when an individual buys somebody else's product, it's mutually beneficial or you wouldn't buy it. If the trade is voluntary, it's always beneficial. There is no Canada versus the U.S. The consumer wins when the price is the lowest price. But on the tariffs in particular, on the...
Okay, so Rand Paul voted on this on a principle that he has. Whether I agree with Rand Paul or not on him voting for or against this bill in the Senate, it doesn't make me think less of Rand Paul. It doesn't make me, just like when Thomas Massey voted against the continuing resolution bill. He voted against it on principle that we're still doing deficit spending. And his principle is that he doesn't want to do deficit spending anymore. So I can't be mad at Rand Paul for voting for this, even though, plus the fact that a 51-48 certainly is not a, look, it's not veto proof by any stretch of the imagination. So here it is, Rand Paul on blocking Trump's tariffs on imports in Canada. Despite arguments to the contrary, American no tariffs are a tax and that they are going to have to pay. The founding fathers so feared the power of taxation that they gave it only to Congress. So he said, I stand to speak against the tariffs. I stand to speak against the idea of skipping democracy, of skipping the constitutional republic, of rejecting our founding principles, not because I have any animus towards the president. I do this because I love my country. We should vote. This is a tax, plain and simple. Taxes should not be enacted by one person. So, and then his whole speech there on that. Look, again, I have no problem with him doing this. I think the whole tariff thing is a negotiating ploy by the president, and if he can get other countries to determine that they're no longer to lower their tariffs or whatever, great. We already seen that with India, who announced that they were probably going to drop any tariffs they have against the U.S. to zero, and I think that would be reciprocal to them. Now, other people talking about this, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary. Let's see. Here's his. This was Scott Bessent before the election, talking about some necessary changes that might have to happen. Here's from Manhattan Institute Forum.
I think, as an economic historian and someone who's been in markets for 40 years, I actually think I'm starting to look like it now, is I think we're also at a unique moment geopolitically, and I could see in the next few years that we are going to have some kind of a grand global economic reordering. There's something on the equivalent of a new Bretton Woods, or if you want to go back, like something back to the steel agreements or the Treaty of Versailles. There's a very good chance that we are going to have to have that over the next 4 years, and I'd like to be a part of it. I've studied this. I think it's kind of a unique skill set. I think as an economic historian.
That was before, and now here he is now.
You look back in 1998, you look back in 2007, right before it looked great, everything collapsed. So, I mean, it looked great right before everything collapsed. So we have taken us off that trajectory, and we are putting ourselves back onto a sound trajectory. You look back.
So he now again, he's Trump aligned, even though he's Treasury Secretary. So he's kind of on board with this too. So we're going to see what happens with this. Now some people are mad. Chicago Ray. Congress gets paid through the U.S. Treasury. Speaker Johnson quit his job for a week. Raise your hand if you want Scott Benson to dock Mike Johnson's pay until he gavels the House back in session. He's tagged, replied, said, okay, whatever. Don't care about that. And then also here's the message Scott Bessent has for countries hit with the tariffs.
President in the Rose Garden. Let's get reaction to the president's tariff plan and the progress of his big, beautiful bill going forward. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent joins us now. Thank you for being here.
Right, good to see you.
It was a big day. The president calls it Liberation Day. You know, we showed the markets before, but if you saw the post-market reaction, it was kind of down across the board. People are looking at their 401ks and they worry about it. What do you say to them tonight?
Brett, I say that what we are doing is we're setting the stage for long-term economic growth, that we were on our way to a financial crisis. I used to teach a history of financial crises, and with that gigantic government spending, it was unsustainable. You look back in 1998, you look back in 2007, right before it looked great, everything collapsed. So, I mean, it looked great right before everything collapsed. So we have taken us off that trajectory, and we are putting ourselves back onto a sound trajectory.
You said 10%.
And I know we heard this part before, but whatever.
10 years would be $2.5 trillion coming in. You look at this list of all these countries, and there's some policy decisions here. China is at 34%, added to the 20% already, so that's 54% on Chinese goods.
Yes.
Are they going to come back with something big?
Well, we'll see what they do. My advice to every country right now is do not retaliate. Sit back. Take it in, let's see how it goes, because if you retaliate, there will be escalation. If you don't retaliate, this is the high watermark.
So also not in the list, Russia, Belarus, but Ukraine is on the list. Mexico, Canada, not on the list, other than the fentanyl tariffs already there. There's a decision-making here.
Well, Russia and Belarus, we don't trade.
Yeah, that's the point either. Russia and Belarus shouldn't trade with, and Russia's on major U.S. sanctions right now. So anyway, let's give you a taste of what's being said. By the way, Vietnam is trending because apparently when China was getting tariffs before, they moved much of their Nike production to Vietnam, and now Vietnam is actually going to have higher tariffs than China. So this is the funny little thing. Nike shifted production from China to Vietnam to sidestep tariffs, only to get hit with new, bigger ones. Oof. So if you're going to buy Nike shoes in about 6 to 8 months, the prices are going to go up. Also trending, and then Nike's also trending because of that. Penguins is trending, though. And someone asked about the Penguins. Well, apparently on the list of the tariff list is supposedly some uninhabited Antarctic islands. Planned tariffs shared by the White House included 10% duty of imports from the Barren Heard and McDonald Islands. And so people are joking, oh, they're going to tax the penguins. The penguins are making shit, and we're going to tariff those, right? Well, here's the thing. Again, the Trump administration put a 10% tariff on the Heard Island and McDonald Island, which has a population of 0 people and is inhabited only by penguins. Now, I'm pretty sure the reason for this is, by the way, I think those islands are both controlled by Australia. And for some reason, here's my understanding, possibly. See if this makes sense to you. While those islands are uninhabited, there are apparently some businesses that use those islands as their headquarter. And apparently there are actually some sort of port on each of those islands. And so if the company says they're from that island, even though it's uninhabited, it only has penguins, they're probably fisheries. Who knows? That's a good question. Apparently some companies will pretend that they're from there to avoid tariffs, or they can ship from there to avoid tariffs. I don't know. That was the reasoning I heard, but I don't think this was like some weird afterthought. In fact, let's find that list. Let me find that list again. Because I don't remember seeing that on the list that we were looking at. Here, let's try here. Where is it? What happened to the list? Here it is. So here's the list. I don't see. They're not on this list that I see. But again, this is probably not, it's not the complete list. The complete list is 4 pages of this. So, but that seems to be that seems to be the reason that would be that way. So anyway, that's why people are talking about penguins right now. And again, Rand Paul, Wall Street's trending because as Trump was announcing this, obviously the markets were down. Percentage-wise, not huge, but number-wise, it sounds huge because the markets are so high. Here's another one too. Now this is someone. I won't do this. That's 5 minutes long. We're not going to do that. But hey, every time you see Democrats screaming into news cameras, remember this clip. Elon Musk, I'll tell you a lesson I learned at PayPal. You know who complained the loudest, the quickest and the loudest, with the most amount of righteous indignation? The fraudsters. That's who complained first, loudest, and they would generally have this immense overreaction. That's how we knew they were the fraudsters. That's how we knew. That's how you tell. But I always chuckle too when they give a drop in the market a dollar amount. So this person says over $1 trillion was just wiped out in 4 minutes. Have you said thank you once? So they're showing how it went. Now, so 5.75, whatever this is, S&P 500 E-mini futures, from 5.75 to 5.62475. That the way they make it sound the worst possible is by giving it a dollar amount. Oh, over $1 trillion wiped out in 4 minutes. You mean 0.125%? 0.125% of the market is $1 trillion? Okay. Whatever you say. But anyway, CNN actually reported Democrats' approval rating currently at a new low, 21%. Wisconsin votes for voter ID, but somehow Susan Crawford wins the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. Who think there needs to be a federal audit? This makes absolutely no sense. Actually, so I got into this with somebody this morning because we remember in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, the left-wing judge Susan Crawford won, right? But Wisconsin also passed voter ID. So this morning I saw someone talking about how they thought that, well, it seems like there's something weird in Milwaukee County. You know, of 300-something thousand people that voted, over 150,000 votes were from Milwaukee. And, you know, there's 19 cities in Milwaukee County. And how could Milwaukee have, you know, half the votes? First of all, yes, Milwaukee County does have 19 municipalities. But the population of Milwaukee at about 500,000 is more than half of the population of Milwaukee County. The rest of the cities in Milwaukee County have about a population of about 350,000. So that was I thought that was a dumb argument. I don't know if that person was from the left or the right, but they're just like, oh, this is a conspiracy. There's no way that half of the votes in Milwaukee County came from Milwaukee. Well, if more than half the population of Milwaukee County lives in Milwaukee, that makes complete sense. But the other one was that, well, how could, if half Milwaukee County voted for the Susan Crawford, how could voter ID win in Milwaukee or in Wisconsin? Well, the reason voter ID could win in Wisconsin, like it could anywhere else, is because voter ID is a very popular policy. Okay, in the United States, 84% of voters approve of voter ID laws. And that even includes Democrats. A majority of Democrats approve of voter ID laws. And in Wisconsin, voter ID was already the law. All they did with this referendum was enshrine it in the Wisconsin Constitution. And so a very popular voting law, voter ID, which was already happening in Wisconsin, was approved by the voters with a 67% of the vote. That's where a liberal justice could be voted in, but voter ID at the same time could also be enshrined in the Wisconsin Constitution. So now that liberal judge they just voted in, who called voter ID, you know, super racist, or not verbatim, but that's paraphrasing. That Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin cannot strike down voter ID laws in Wisconsin. So there is kind of a give and take with that vote in Wisconsin. So, but here is, who's this guy? This is the CNN pollster guy. I don't know what he's saying here, but let's find out.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democrats.
Now, granted, among the disapproval and disapproval numbers for Democrats, there are some other reasons. Not because they necessarily disapprove of Democrat priorities. The Democrats who disapprove of Democrats could be disapproving because they're not doing enough or what they want them to do or whatever. So I still take this with a grain of salt too, but it still means the Democrats are not popular. But what I haven't seen them do necessarily is compare it to approval of Republicans when they do this, and I haven't quite seen those polls yet. But definitely Democrats are down, and Trump approval ratings are up.
Democratic Party at large, this is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get
See,
this.
Democratic
the plurality
voters.
of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right here really driving all of this. If Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historical.
But it doesn't mean that those Democrats approve of Republicans. Some of them can be disappointed that Democrats aren't crazy enough. So, yeah, that's not good for Democrats. It's blue on blue crime. I'm not going to watch the rest of this guy because he annoys the shit out of me. So anyway, there you go. Those are all the that's all the trending stuff. Let's get into Buy America's trending. Yeah. That's funny. Cousin T's syrup and Cousin T's pancakes. That's the Terrence K. Williams stuff. Don't buy from Canada. What the Senate just did is disgraceful. Senate voted to terminate President Trump's tariffs in Canada. Well, the House hasn't done it yet. Terrence, chill out. Only we don't need their syrup. We have our own American paper syrup. The Great Depression is trending. Some people think that Trump is going to cause a Great Depression. The Great Depression wouldn't have happened if they'd stayed with the tariffs. Reality. Now, they're going to show a clip from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. By the way, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, there was a recession in 1858, and that's when we had tariffs. And then there was a Great Depression in 1939. That's when we had tariffs. And then he tried to say there's something that had to do with tariffs and the downturn in 2008, which is not true. Or 2007. Had nothing to do with tariffs. Did they forget though that there were tariffs in between those times when there were good times in the United States? I'm not sure what they're talking about. You could say the Great Depression happened after the income tax. No, we had implemented an income tax, and 5-10 years later we had the Great Depression or whatever. So whatever, somebody, because this guy says, Trump, in 1913, for reasons unknown, they established income tax so citizens rather than foreign countries would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to an abrupt end. The Great Depression, it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. Would have been a much different story. That's Trump's. I don't know if it would have been a different story. There's lots of reasons for the Great Depression. So I'm not going to go on Trump's side or the other side on this. I don't think tariffs are what caused the Great Depression, but here's the clip from Ferris Bueller that people keep sharing, let's see the clip from Ferris Bueller.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the anyone
Bueller
Great Depression, passed the anyone the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression.
Oh, wait a minute, though. Wait. Didn't the Great Depression start before that, though, and they were trying to come up with... It didn't cause the Great Depression. It did... Holy shit, what are you talking about? So anyway, there you go. So a lot of people are sharing that Bueller clip. Now let's get into some FTGs. First, this is some sad news out of Frisco, Texas, where one of my friends lives. Apparently, at a track meet in Frisco, Texas, this young man named Austin Metcalf, he's a twin, and he's a 4.0 student, like captain or whatever, the football team, National Honor Society, all this stuff. There was a altercation at a track meet with another young man who pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the heart. And Austin Metcalf died on the scene in the arms of his twin brother. Terrible, terrible incident. And someone named Carmelo Anthony, not to be confused with the Carmelo Anthony from the NBA, is the guy who did it. FTG to Carmelo Anthony, by the way.
17-year-old Austin Metcalf's.
So here's the report. This is the local report, local Fox affiliate reporting on this. Here's the story. It's a very sad story.
17-year-old Austin Metcalf's twin brother was at the track with him. His family says he died in his brother's arms. Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke with the teen's victim's father.
This guy's father.
In Frisco tonight. Amelia.
Steve, Heather, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf had a bright future ahead of him. He was a leader on the football field and a scholar in the classroom. His dad told me he's holding on to memories and leaning deep on his faith as he tries to wrap his mind around
I don't know how his father even
senseless
spoke to anybody
tragedy.
after this. I wouldn't be able to do it.
He was going to turn out to be a great individual and impact this world with positivity.
17-year-old Austin Metcalf was voted MVP of the Frisco Memorial High School varsity football team. The linebacker held a near-perfect GPA and was in the National Honor Society.
He was on the right track. He was doing everything right. I was so proud.
Jeff Metcalf never imagined that his son's future would be cut short.
I'm still in shock.
Wednesday morning, Austin Metcalf was at a District 11 5A track meet at Kirkendall Stadium. Around 10 a.m., Frisco police say 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest after some sort of fight. Jeff Metcalf says it was
Interesting here. I've heard a couple different reports. Some said that there was a fight. Some said that that he was the assailant said he was sitting in the wrong place, and that's how the altercation started. So, but I don't know the justification for pulling out a knife and stabbing someone in the heart. Don't have the full details on the story.
Austin's twin brother, Hunter Metcalf, who tried to save him.
And his brother was holding him, trying to hold the blood in, and he passed. My son watched his brother die in his arms.
It's unclear how Anthony got the knife into the meat or what exactly led up to the fight. Anthony is now facing first-degree murder charges, and Jeff Metcalf
It was the best weekend ever.
is only left with memories.
I was able to watch and be blessed so much. But having both my sons are amazing.
When Jeff Metcalf was diagnosed with cancer 9 years ago, his boys were his strength. Now cancer-free, it's
God,
his
it's just
faith
heart-wrenching.
that's keeping him strong.
And when I kissed his forehead today, as his body was cold, I ran my fingers through his hair. I told him it's not goodbye. It's see you later. I'll join you at some point too, son. You just beat me to this place.
God
Wednesday
damn.
night, the family's church opened its doors for the community to gather for a prayer vigil to honor a young man whose life touched so many.
But I know he's with the Lord. And I take comfort and peace in that.
In our conversation, Jeff mentioned that he hopes his son's death brings changes to security so no other parent has to go through this. Memorial High School will honor Austin tomorrow during second period, and counselors will be available for any students or staff who need it.
I can't imagine the pain that father's going through. So, obviously, FTG Carmelo Anthony. Now what's predictable on this? A lot of people are bringing the race angle into this, and the 13% commit 50% of the murders, whatever. No, we don't. A small fraction of a percent of people do this shit. And unfortunately, in more violent places where some people live, this happens more often. But I have no idea how this could have happened, other than, there's lack of security or what caused this kid to pull out a knife, whatever. Oh man, it's just so sad. So a lot of people are talking about Austin Metcalf today. Also in the, let's see, what's this? Oh, what's Carmelo D? Yeah, see, people bringing up DI. See, there you go. Oh, Tyre, I can hear you. Yes, and I don't know the demographics of the Frisco. I don't know if it's, is Frisco like Bloomington, Minnesota, where there's the East Bloomington and West Bloomington, and West Bloomington's the hoity-toities and the East Bloomington's the hood. I don't know. My friend lives in Frisco. I don't think he's ever mentioned Frisco being a bad place to live, but certainly this young man with the knife is a fucking idiot, and fuck that guy. And may the law be rained down on him like 15 tons of bricks. Fuck that guy. This is interesting. Apparently there was a fencing meet at the University of Maryland, if you're familiar with fencing, like the little sword things. And a young woman named Stephanie Turner refused to fence a dude pretending to be a woman, Redmond Sullivan, and took her mask off and got on a knee in front of her male opponent. Following this, the referee gave Turner a black card, leading to an expulsion from the tournament for serious rule infractions. And so she refused to go fence against a transgender girl, aka trans identifying male, who a year earlier, for whatever school he's fencing for, 1 year earlier, he was on the men's team. And so she forfeited the match. Apparently this dude, whatever, has been just killing it in the fencing field. And so here's the thread. Stephanie was taken to the bout committee where she was lectured and given a black card and thrown out of the competition because she refused to participate in her own destruction. She said later, it'll probably, at least for the moment, destroy my life. I don't think that's going to be easy for me now on going to fencing tournaments. I don't think it's going to be easy for me at practice. It's very hard for me to do this. So the young woman is brave, sitting there in tears. How have we done this to her? How strong is she? She is amazing. USA Fencing should be ashamed. How can they do this to women fencers? The full story here on the interviews here on Fox. Let's see. Women fencer opens up to refusing to face transgender opponent, accepting punishment and backlash. How long is this? We're going to watch this. It's only 2 minutes long. We'll watch the story. So this is where it happened. She refused. She forfeits. She's forfeiting the match. And the official comes over and she says, I'm not going to fence against the male. And so now the official's walking away. What's he doing? Now he comes over. He says, I'm not going to do this with you. I'm not playing this game. And he's obviously pleading with her, saying, oh no, you got it. I'm a girl, really? Seriously, cereal. All right, we don't have to watch this whole thing, but so anyway, ahead of the bout at the Cherry Blossom Open in Maryland over the weekend, Turner, 31, made the decision not to compete against trans athlete Redmond Sullivan, and that's who our FTG is going to. FTG Redmond Sullivan. And Turner also wanted to make sure her refusal was caught on video for the world to see. Turner came to the decision the night before the event when she checked the competition pools and saw that she would be competing against Sullivan, whom she had read about in an article last year. I saw that I was going to be in a pool with Redmond, and from there I said, okay, let's do it. I'm going to take a knee. Turner went through all her warm-ups that day, went on to fence in 4 bouts before a matchup with the trans athlete. When it came, she was nervous and shaky, but I was sure about her decision. I knew what I had to do because USA Fencing had not been listening to women's objections regarding its gender policy. I took a knee immediately at that point. Redmond was under the impression that I was going to start fencing, so when I took the knee, I looked at the ref and said, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I'm a woman, this is a man, and this is a women's tournament, and I will not fence this individual. Redmond did not hear me, and he comes up to me and he thinks that I may be hurt or he doesn't understand what's happening. He asked, are you okay? And I said, I'm sorry. I have much love and respect for you, but I will not fence you. And right after that, Turner's punishment by USA Fencing commenced. Redmond says to me, Well, you know, there's a member on the board of directors here who supports me, and there's a policy that acknowledges me as a woman, so I am allowed to fence, and you will get black carded. And I said, I know, Turner said. Minutes later, the referees dealt Turner a black card, which represents the most severe penalty, leading to expulsion from the tournament or event for serious rule infractions or unsportsmanlike behavior. Turner said she was then escorted to the bout committee where she had to explain what she did. She says the members then handed her a copy of the association's transgender policy and made her sign a document acknowledging the black card. Turner said she signed the document under objection. Then Turner was escorted out of the venue because, you know, she's definitely a danger to everyone's safety. USA Fencing provides a statement to Fox News Digital addressing the incident. Quote, USA Fencing enacted our current transgender non-binary athlete policy in 2023. The policy was designed to expand access to the sport of fencing to create inclusive, safe spaces. The policies are for who? For who? So you must accept our policy for inclusive and safe spaces, even if you don't feel safe in that situation. Good God. The policy is based on the principle that everyone should have the ability to participate in sports and was based upon research available of the day. What research? What fucking research, you retards? We respect the viewpoints on all sides. No, you don't. Obviously, you don't respect viewpoints on all sides. And encourage our members to continue sharing them with us as the matter evolves. It's important for the fencing community to engage in this dialogue, but we expect this conversation to be conducted respectfully, whether at our tournaments or online. She forfeited the match. How is that being disrespectful? The way to progress is by respectful discussion based on evidence. The evidence is cockaballs. USA Fencing spokesman also told Fox News Digital that Turner was not penalized for her stance against trans inclusion, but for simply refusing to fence. For forfeiting? In the case of Stephanie Turner, her disqualification was not related to any personal statement, but was merely a direct result of her decision to decline to fence an eligible opponent. I wonder if she would have forfeited against a woman would she have gotten a black card. She voluntarily forfeited that match. Would she have gotten a black card for that? Which FIE rules decline to fence an eligible opponent, which FIE rules clearly prohibit. According to the FIE, International Fencing Federation, technical rules, specifically Article 113, a fencer is not permitted to refuse to fence another properly entered fencer for any reason. Okay, so those are the rules. Under these rules, such a refusal results in disqualification and the corresponding sanctions. This policy exists to maintain fair competition standards and preserve the sport's integrity. Well, you haven't preserved the sport's integrity because a male who fenced as a male in the same tournament a year earlier is now fencing as a female. And not a female, clearly. Turner said she has not heard anything back from the organization since the incident. It was an incident she had actively tried to avoid in prior events. Turner said she previously refused to enter multiple past fencing events that included other transgender fencers she knew about. It's an issue that she made an effort to stay on top of for her own awareness and safety. In previous years, when I had known about transgender fencers being present, I just wouldn't register. But for this one, Redmond must have signed up after me. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give it to God. If this person shows up in my event and it's on my script, then I would take a knee, and that would be God's will. So she is being consistent. There's more in the article, but you can read that later. Thank you, Ty Alexander, dropping us 2:30 the tip jar, and you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Tyre says, I play my friend in games all the time. He hands me my ass a lot. But those moments where I win are so much more sweeter. Why? Because I won them fair and square. I don't ask for a different opponent. I strive to be better and get good. M2F are weaklings. Male to females are weaklings. Yeah. It's amazing to me where someone who competed as a male a year earlier. And I see this in a couple of events. We see this with the swimmer. You see this with Cece Telford, the track person who was who competed as a male 1 year and the next year came back, competed as a female, and won the NCAA Division II National Championship. There's 900 now counting cases where transgender athletes have won medals over women that they've documented now, not just in the U.S. but around the world, and it just keeps getting more and more, and it's becoming ridiculous. There's certainly other research. So anyway, other things trending that FTG's Dan Rather. I'm just gonna leave the thread here. He said some clown shit, and I don't even need a reason to FTG Dan Rather. So there you go, Dan Rather, FTG. Let's move this over. And then just the odds and ends. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to resume funding left-wing immigration groups, including her former employer. You would think that this judge would have a conflict of interest if she's having to fund her former employer, Judge Araceli Martinez-Olguin's work for community legal services in East Palo Alto could fuel calls for her recusal. Oh, you think? Federal judge who ordered the Trump administration on Tuesday to restore taxpayer funding for legal services for illegal immigrants has worked for one of the advocacy groups involved in the litigation, an apparent conflict of interest that could give the administration ammunition to seek her recusal from the case. Well, these days you don't even know. But anyway, that's all I'm going to write about it. Let's just give an FTG to Araceli Martinez-Olguin. You think she's ruling on a case for an organization she used to be a part of? I would think that would be an automatic recusal or disqualification for this judge on this case. Who would think otherwise? But apparently she just doesn't think so. Daily Caller. Exclusive Trump immigration agency halts the Biden-era gender policy effective immediately. Hey, that's how it goes. The agency that oversees all immigration services in the United States is officially ending the Biden-era practice of offering a third gender option on immigration forms, updating its policy guidance to clarify that it only recognizes two sexes, male and female. The Daily Wire can first report the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, USCIS, has historically required that registrars choose between male and female on its form documents obtained by the Daily Wire. But in April 2024, under President Joe Biden's administration, they added another option for gender as X. Other. Guess what? Here's my theory on that. And maybe this is going to upset some people, but no one watches me anyway, except for my wonderful audience. Look, if you have to mark a third category of male or female, you probably have some mental issues that we don't want in our country. So we're going to pass. You can just go back to wherever the hell you came from. And look, anyway, you got the idea. So no FTG on that one. By the way, speaking of the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement has arrested a man for making terroristic threats against ICE agents and the Department of Homeland Security. In an ex post, HSI Dallas revealed that they had taken a man named Robert King into custody and explained that his social media post included intentions to open fire if ICE agents were spotted in his neighborhood. Robert King, a U.S. citizen, was recently taken into custody in McKinney, Texas, for making terroristic threats against ICE. And I guess you can read the rest of the article, but FTG Robert King. Fuck that guy. Nashville police, in their final... Okay, so remember the Covington, the school shooting? The transgender kid, whatever, she went in there and shot up a bunch of people. Well, for some reason, the Nashville Police Department has decided to whitewash that a little bit. Final police report of Nashville's deadly Covenant shooting, released more than 2 years after the attack, claims the motive of the attack was notoriety and makes little mention of the shooter's radical positions on gender, race, or religious animus. While pages from the writings of the 28-year-old woman who murdered 3 children and 3 adults at the Covenant School in March 2023 demonstrate that she was fixated on gender ideology and white privilege, police say that she was primarily motivated by the desire for notoriety. Investigators said that neither her documented hatred of Christianity or affluent white people played a role in her targeting of the Covenant School. Now, if you have any familiarity with, if a lot of people have, they've released a lot of that now, and it's obvious that her motivation, she was mad at, I guess she was mad at being white herself, mad about the transgender. She was mad at calling these people crackers and things like that, even though she was a cracker herself. I don't know how the Nashville Police Department could come to that conclusion that her motivation was the notoriety of killing a bunch of people. Anybody? Bueller? So for that, FTG to the Nashville Police Department. Oops, I got 2 of those in there. You get the point. In the Daily Caller, apparently Dr. Anthony Fauci's wife has been fired. Oh, yeah! I shouldn't be like that. But Christine Grady, a top bioethicist, which is a questionable title, at the National Institute of Health, and the wife of former top NIH official Dr. Anthony Fauci was among the health bureaucrats who received a layoff notice on Tuesday, according to news reports. Grady was given the boot as part of the post-pandemic restructuring at the Department of Health and Human Services, according to the New York Times and STAT News. HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. and his top aides have said the layoffs are aimed at consolidating administrative functions and overhauling a failed status quo on American health. So sad. So sad. FTG. What's her name? Something Brady. Oh, Christine Grady. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. All right. And then, let's see. Daily Wire. Oh, even Democrats operatives are throwing cold water on Booker's 25-hour stunt. Former President Joe Biden's longtime communication director, Kate Bedingfield, tossed cold water on Senator Cory Booker's marathon speech on Tuesday, saying that it was unlikely to move the needle with regard to business as usual at the Capitol. Bedingfield weighed in on Booker's lengthy address, which at 25 hours, 5 minutes, was the longest in U.S. Senate history. During an appearance on CNN, shortly after the New Jersey senator passed the 24-hour mark, she argued that the overall impact of the stunt was likely to be minimal at best. Here's probably why it would be minimal at best. There was no business on the floor of the Senate that he was actually filibustering. He just decided to start rambling on at 7 o'clock in the evening and continued it for 25 hours. So he held up the Senate business for one day, not protesting a particular bill, not protesting in particular, just like I said it was like Festivus. It was an airing of grievances. So if you want to see her, let's see, how long is her?
The Democratic base
Here it is.
and Democratic donors are looking for signs of life. And so I think what Senator Booker is giving them here is some signs of life. Is it going to have a tangible impact on business in Washington?
I mean, if he is still alive after this.
It's not. It may have a tangible impact on Senator Booker, but it will
They're laughing at him.
Business in Washington.
They're laughing at it. They laughed at it. FTG Cory Booker. There you go. And let's see. I got a few more here, and then I got to get out of here. Oh, what's wrong with them? Trump unloads on the 4 GOP senators who voted voted to cancel the Canadian tariffs. Sure, we can look. Anytime I get a chance to FTG Mitch Mack, sure. Anytime I can FTG Susan Collins for doing stupid shit? Yeah. Anytime. Oh, Colleen. Anytime I can FTG Lisa Murkowski. Yeah. Rand Paul, I'm pretty sure he did it for principal reasons and not nothing else. And then Kamala Harris, by the way, came out of mothballs to congratulate Cory Booker. And here's the question, and this is I'm gonna try to finish up here quickly. Here's Kamala Harris congratulating Cory Booker. Tell me what you think is going on here.
Hi, Wisconsin, to all of you.
Or no, Wisconsin, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to pop by to say thank you. You all are just extraordinary. You love our country.
Is it just me?
You are making such extraordinary sacrifices.
Does she seem lit?
On behalf of so many people, on behalf of communities, on behalf of people you may never meet.
And why is her...
I just say thank you.
Lip stuck to her teeth.
There is an unelected billionaire who should not and will not.
She's lit.
Have a greater voice.
She's got to be
than
lit.
The working people of Wisconsin.
So she's drunk. She's got to be. Anyway, FTG Kamala. And then, again, here's the story of the women's fencer, so I'll finish with that. All right, guys, that's it. Let me drop the links and get the heck out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I got to go, though. Here we go. One tab. There we go. I'll be back tomorrow, Free for All Friday, Friday Q&A. Won't be doing any... I don't know what I'm just trying to say here. Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay. Copy and paste. All right, here's the links with improper, what do you call it? Punctuation. Y'all have a great day. I got to go. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.